by the way, a lot of matches where you do not want to see the enemy cliff, where you on purpose do not put a ward.
Why?
The idea is that if you don't see the enemy, so if you don't have a ward, okay, you can on purpose stand in the river so you don't see the enemy when he's on his high ground, which makes it harder for the enemy to aggro pull.
Pause.
This is a coaching session between Tier 1 professional mid player Stormstormer, he's a cool guy, I met him at TI, and Grubby, where Stormstormer gave a bunch of tips and tricks about mid mechanics.
Yeah, so the idea is that when it's daytime, many matchups like where you don't want the enemy to be able to draw aggro into his tower, like your Kunkka, you don't want to put that ward. Like the Shadow Feed against Kunkka thingy, the SF actually in theory does not want to have a ward because Kunkka could just on purpose pull all the creeps into his tower and would be happy enough with that.
The tip here is, if I place a ward mid, this gives me and my creeps vision of the enemy's high ground. Sounds good, right? Well, this actually allows the enemy to utilize creep aggro to gain an advantage against you.
You said I want to do that because I'm avoiding a bad matchup.
Right, exactly.
This tip to intentionally not place a ward mid that sees the enemy's high ground is specifically good when you already have a good matchup, like the SF versus Kunkka example they're talking about, because it's range versus melee and raises can be quite threatening versus Kunkka. If SF has a ward mid, Kunkka can aggro pull the creeps from the top of the stairs since SF's creeps see Kunkka. If SF didn't have a ward mid, the creeps won't see Kunkka on the stairs trying to aggro pull. He'll have to instead go down the stairs, pull aggro, and basically guide the creeps up the stairs with him. There's a trick around this though. When the range creep attacks, it gives a little bit of vision around it. You can use this little bit of vision to pull the enemy creeps up the stairs. Kind of the same as if the enemy had a ward giving vision of you. And for some of this coaching session, Grubby has Stormstormer's camera really small in the bottom right corner. So for your viewing pleasure, I've blown it up so you can see him in pristine high quality. You're welcome.
But actually what I meant by mechanics was not so much like aggro pulling like behind the tower or something, but I meant like more in laning mechanics. And what I mean by that is especially aggro pulling. Are you conscious about how aggro pulling works?
Yeah, I'm aware of all the rules regarding aggro, including the period of time the creeps will chase you, when it will stop chasing you based on vision and duration, how you can keep it on you by attacking them when it's 2.7 seconds runs out, and then you can use it to manipulate how much damage your own creeps are taking, so that you can quickly do like aggro where your opponent misses.
2 hours later.
that was awesome, actually. Mid laning is basically about like who's better at last hitting in the end. Who's better at last hitting and trading. And that guy will come out ahead. Because you don't necessarily need to kill the enemy. You don't necessarily need to like take the enemies to one tower. Just simply by having more CS than the enemy, you're considered the winner of the lane. You want to try to contest every single creep. You want to leave nothing for free to the enemy. Whenever the enemy is going for a last hit or a deny, you want to make sure that he does not get it for free.
This is a point that Stormstormer emphasized over and over during the whole coaching session. Basically, be annoying to your enemy by always doing something to them, either trying to mess up their last hits or by harassing them, and never be idle.
Here, for example, like this creep, we cannot contest probably because
Usually
it's not going to go below
right?
the 50%.
Yeah.
But so in this situation, what you want to do is hit him. Basically, again, when the enemy is busy doing something about CS, this is where you want to not idle. This comes from the number one rule, right? If you think about it, you want to contest every single creep.
Yeah.
This is where everything starts with. If this rule, like this is really the main rule of the mid lane, like basically a good way to start. As long as you follow that rule, the other things will come conscious of it.
Stormstormer explains a very simple way to use your spells as efficiently as possible, specifically nukes. This might seem obvious, but I think it's overlooked by many as not a big deal, or they don't even think about it in the first place.
I can talk about another rule, and that is like when you have these nukes, like here in your Q ability, of course you want to try to secure to use them to secure last hits. You don't want to try to use these nukes to only secure last hits. You almost always want to hit the enemy with it to make it more effective. What you're gonna do here is you're just simply gonna push the wave with your Q ability, in no regards if he's here or not. So this Q will just simply push the wave, and you will secure both last hits. But if you really think about it, there's no reason to Q here already. You can just simply wait for him to walk up to you so you hit him as well.
I also disagree with this.
You also don't like the Q.
No.
The tip is, if you're using your spell anyway, you might as well damage the enemy and maybe set yourself up for a kill later on.
Do not hesitate to use your Q to get CS, basically. If there's a chance that I deny a creep, better just throw a nuke on it. Like this creep here, like just use a nuke to secure it, because you want to get your bottle. So before your bottle, don't be too greedy on your Q.
Okay.
Just use it for every creep that comes in, no matter ranged or melee. Preferably ranged, of course. But
if you haven't purchased your bottle yet, don't be greedy with your spells and use mana. Use them to secure last hits you know you won't get otherwise. Now Grubby asks about how to decide what to do in these moments where you seem to have a lot of options, most notably going for the water rune.
So water runes are a really interesting thing as well, because basically you always want to get at least one water rune, and you want to try to run there and pick them up when you lose the least for it. Because
Yes.
it is a trade, right? We could call this a trade right here because you go for the water rune, but what
Oh,
do you
yeah.
trade for it? You don't contest any of the creeps under his tower, correct?
Oh, that's
like
true.
he's gonna get all 3 last hits. So this is a fine trade. This will happen many times. Also be conscious that when you go to a water rune, the
It
enemy
is a
for that
trade.
time will be uncontested.
This is another thing that sounds small and simple, but hearing someone as skilled as Stormstormer say it is reassuring.
Number one thing is just be conscious about it. I think here the decision
Yes.
to go to the water rune is completely fine, because basically you're already doing a job that you would otherwise have to do later, and you're not losing that much for it. Staying and trying to contest those last hits is also fine. To me right here, it is not 100% obvious. Most cases here I would go to the water rune, I think.
So it's important to remember that even the simple play of going to pick up the water rune can be crucial. It also partly goes against a rule we've been hearing about, which is to constantly be annoying to your enemy by either messing up their last hits or harassing them. Be aware that every play you make is a trade-off. This will help you realize the opportunity for alternative plays and help you justify decisions you make. Grubby asks about swapping stat items out while using bottle charges for max efficiency. He saw Quinn in a pub not do this, and he wasn't sure why.
I would have to see the situation. I think there's just a good chance that he was lazy on it, or he had some reason that I would need to see from the replay. Because realistically speaking, you don't lose anything from doing this. It's only pros. I think there's just a high chance that in that moment maybe he was lazy about it.
Or focus on something else on the minimap
Or
or
focus
something.
on something else. Maybe you can call it a trade, that he's like looking to a side lane and seeing what they're doing instead of swapping out the branches, because he
Okay.
didn't want to focus his brain power on swapping out the items, the stat
Yeah.
items. But in general, I think that you do it is a really good play. I do it on every single rune all the time,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I think it's a good habit, and you should not stop doing it.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Stormstormer and Grubby talk about stacking and when is a good time to focus on that rather than laning.
Is it enough to just get a wave every 30 seconds?
It
But-
depends on what stage of your game you're in. Basically, you're going for an eco play right here, right? If you go back here, what you do is you push the wave in, you get all 4 last hits, and then you go stack. If we think about it, like this could be the maximum economic play. You get all 4 last hits, the maximum amount of gold, and you stack a camp for later. However, what you also do is you give your opponent completely free reign on the mid wave. So if you
Yeah.
look at the net worth difference, it is probably not worth it.
Stacking, just like the water rune, is a trade-off. It might be the best economic play for your own game, but that doesn't mean it's the best play overall. Remember, you want to be constantly contesting the enemy mid. If you're spending time stacking and clearing those stacks, the enemy mid is uncontested. Stacking can be good, but don't prioritize it too early on. Instead, wait until later and when you can clear them quicker with maxed farming spells.
Usually when you play these heroes with farming abilities, you want to do it also when the farming spell is like maximum efficiency, which here would be
Oh.
level 4 in the queue. So you're investing into your future quite far ahead, but for that you're giving up the contest on the mid wave. You're giving Magnus 2 or 3 free CS, which is probably more money and XP than you will get from the additional stack you made here.
Yeah.
The point on stacking goes with the next point of how important the first power rune at 6 minutes is. This is because you can heavily dictate the pace of the game with it, but you have a better chance of getting it if you're contesting the enemy mid rather than clearing stacks.
On mid lane, you also want to try to compete as much as possible until minute 6, because minute 6 is when the first power rune spawns, and that is where the game becomes a little bit more dynamic. The minute 6 rune can be a haste rune, a DD rune, things like these, and with those runes you can like change how the map is being played. Imagine you're playing a Death Prophet, you're getting the level 6 haste rune, you can quickly threaten both side lanes by TPing and using the haste rune. If we think like this, we want to have the best chances of getting runes in minute 6, and that would be to fight as much as possible against the enemy mid laner.
And here's an example of how you might not want to use the 6-minute power rune.
So since bottom lane doesn't seem to be too stompy, I would stay mid. But now you're here, you also have a siege wave bottom, so if this kill would happen with Aggro, you could also push this tower here. But I guess if the play fails quite quickly because, well, he is close to his tower, you don't even have the mana to press both Exorcism and Siphons, and everything gets a little bit awkward.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, the mana is honestly like the main thing here that is like a little bit sad.
But I was pretty bad too now that I'm looking back at it. I always play a lot better when I'm playing live than when I look back. Weird, is that?
That is really weird. Yeah. This is basically one of the main strengths of the mid laner, that because you're lane alone, you're the first level to reach level 6 and reach your peaks faster, that you can set the tempo in the mid lane. This means that like mid lane is really, really, really rewarding in that sense if you play a good mid lane and you're stronger than your opponent, or it can be quite punishing if you lose mid and the enemy mid is trying to set the tempo.
Yeah.
That's why you can really dictate the pace of especially the early game with your role, like more than any other role, basically.
Here, Stormstormer does a great job wrapping up the main points we covered.
Mainly try to contest every single last or
Contest
deny
everything.
and try to not idle, which I think you're already doing quite well. It just can be more refined, basically. The next step after that would be, I mean, I can touch it. If your idea is that you want to contest every single creep from the enemy, you also want to try to make all of your lasts that are happening, as in that the enemy can deny, as uncontestable as possible, by using, for example, aggro pulls, as you did earlier. So this is how you combine everything into one pot. You want to try to deny every single enemy creep, and you want to try to use whatever mechanics you have that the enemy cannot deny your creeps.
Makes sense.
Even if you're not a mid player like me, hopefully you found this helpful and entertaining. It's good to learn things outside of what you normally play, and that's what inspired me to make this video in the first place. If you're interested in learning about playing support, check out this similar video where Ari, the position 4 for OG, coached Grubby. He gave a lot of really great advice about the support role, but also just how to improve in general in a game like Dota. He's 12K, so he knows what he's talking about. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you learned something new with me.
So yeah, I started with E. I'm like, okay, cool.